the term regional, it means that now it covers each and every village of the state. Out of the 36 districts in Maharashtra state, 33 have been covered by regional schemes. Only 3 districts are remaining. The work on them is going on. After all the districts are covered, there won't be any single part of the state which is not covered by this act. This is very important. That's why I said in the initially only that the scope for town planners is too high. Tremendous scope is there. These regional plans, they specify the direction of the development. All the cities, towns, villages, the development is controlled by this MNP Act. And it defines the actual direction of the development of a particular place. The development of a particular place is place specific. If we go to Pune, you will find that it's an educational hub and a cultural hub of Maharashtra. So, while looking into the town planning aspects of Pune, the major thrust will be establishing more and more educational institutes, educational facilities, and cultural facilities. So, you will find that in the regional plan of Pune, besides Pune and Pimpri-Chinchwad, after that all the rural areas, they have converted lot of areas into educational zones. Because they want to decongest the city, at the same time they want to utilize all the facilities which are existing in Pune for education, better education. That's why they have developed new areas which are outside Pune city limits. Developing all this requires again infrastructure, roads. Infrastructure, it doesn't restrict itself to transportation. It deals with water supply, it deals with drainage, it deals with environmental, it deals with law and order. Infrastructure covers each and every factor. Transportation basically is of 2 different categories. One is public transportation, second is private transportation. If you pay attention to all the developed countries, you will find that their public transportation is very strong. Very, very strong. Just in our state, in our country, if you look at Mumbai, this is one of the best cities in the world. The public transportation is very strong. But you go to any other cities, there is hardly any public transportation. The other cities are not developing at a faster pace because of lack of public transportation. Each and every person will not be able to afford a car and go or afford a two-wheeler and travel some distances to his work or any other place. You need to have proper, efficient, clean and economical public transportation. Around 20-25 years back, when Kolkata metro started, that was the first time metro rail was introduced in India. Looking at today's metros, if you go and travel in Kolkata metro, it's a old style, it's an improvised version of Mumbai locals. Transformation of metro railways started with the Delhi Metro Railway Corporation. You must have heard about engineer Sridharan. He is the doyen of metro railways and railways basically. A feather in his cap was Konkan Railway. It is the most difficult railway route developed till now. Now the other railway route which is being developed and the most challenging is the Jammu-Srinagar railway line. That is now the most difficult. Previously it was Konkan Railway. He completed it in record time and that's why he was transferred as chairman cum CMD of Delhi Metro Corporation. He had a vision of transforming Delhi into a world-class city. And before DMRC came into picture. If you collect information, you will find that there was a huge gap between Mumbai and Delhi. All foreigners, whenever they used to step into India, they used to step into Mumbai. Their journey used to start at Mumbai and at Mumbai. For them, Mumbai was India, Delhi was just the political capital of this country. After Delhi Metro Railway came into picture, now Delhi has overtaken Mumbai. We Maharashtrians, we always are proud of Mumbai, but we have lacked somewhere. Recently, we had a presentation by Mumbai Metro Railways, that is run by Reliance, Anil Ambani. We had a presentation with that. During the Rajiv Gandhi government, he had a vision of providing metro railway services to different various cities. And he had decided that, he means the government, they had decided that where can be a metro railway. So they had fixed a population slab of 40 lakhs. 4 million people and you will have a metro. This was their criteria. Sadly, Mumbai was the only city in the state which fulfilled that criteria. Pune, the population was not that high. Sharad Pawar is a very cunning politician. He wanted and he always wants the best facilities for his district and hometown. And I think everybody should think in those same lines. What he did is, he integrated the public transportation of Pune and Pimpri-Chinchwad together. And he created a new company, PMPML. With that, the population of Pimpri-Chinchwad and Pune was merged together and somehow, the typical word jugaad, and they managed to show it that the population is 40 lakhs. And they just nipped in the criteria. At the same time, simultaneously, Nagpur was developing at a larger and a faster pace. Nitin Gadkari, he was a minister. He tried to push metro railway in those days, but he was not successful. But still, for 15 years they tried. And just like in athletics, the race they finished. In photo finish, they won the race in Pune as Lucknow. The foundation laying stone of Nagpur was held before Pune could hold the event. Thane, we don't consider it as an independent city. We consider it as a suburb of Mumbai. In the third phase of Mumbai Metro, Thane will be covered. Navi Mumbai, the population again is less than 40 lakhs, so no metro railway in Navi Mumbai. This is how the metro railway scenario in Maharashtra was there. During this last year's budget, because of the parliamentary elections, budget could not be presented on 20th of February, it was presented in June. I was just talking to your professor, and I was telling him that during the budget, I am usually one of the panel members of some TV channel in the budget discussions. And the theme, like, you all can be panel members. You have to think in those ways. The theme is like when the live budget presentation starts, it usually starts at 1 o'clock. The timing is also fixed. Therein, the panel members, they all are invited. You have to sit, observe the budget, take down your notes, and immediately after the conclusion of the budget speech, before even the proceedings of the parliament get closed, they start asking us questions and we have to share our ideas. The time is very small. First of all, everybody has to analyze, everybody has to take down notes and everybody has to speak it, and everything is in front of camera. So you have to be very, very true to your concepts. In this budget, when I was hearing the speeches, I noted down 4 points. One was they are trying to develop a corpus fund for slum redevelopment. And that corpus fund, they are going to develop it by taking a contribution from the CSR funds of large public sector and limited companies. CSR is corporate social responsibility. It's a 2% tax levied on the companies, which are either public sector companies or public limited companies. That amount is in lakh of crores of rupees. So part of it. Initially, the CSR funds were not meant for slum alleviation. But now, since this budget, they have said that some part will go to the slum rehabilitation, and they have kept aside 7,000 crores for it. Second aspect which they did was, they said that we need to have 100 smart cities. This you must have heard and read in all the newspapers. Modi government is planning to construct and build 100 smart cities in India. Third aspect was developing waterways in India. The waterways in India are in a very, very crooked way. If you go to northeastern states, you will find that the waterways, there are rickety boats. The capacity of a boat is say 100 packs, and you will find 500 people traveling together and then traveling, and you will find that at least once in a year you will read some news, or nowadays you can watch on TV, that some boat has sunk in with all the members and some have managed to swim, but the others are drowned. This is the fate of water transportation. This government wants to change. That was the third aspect. And the fourth aspect was metro rail. Narendra Modi is of a firm opinion who says that the most economical, reliable and the cleanest form of public transportation is metro rail. Financially, it has been proven that investments in the metro railway, cost of recovery is very fast as compared to other infrastructural public transports. So they reduced down the criteria, one of the major hurdles, from 40 lakhs to 20 lakhs. The whole scenario changed. It was a tsunami in Tanzania. I'm calling it as a tsunami because all city planners, town planners, they always thought that the criteria for metro railway is 40 lakhs. So, public transportation, in particular metro railways, everybody thought of 40 lakhs and above city, then yes, metro railway. Any city less than 40 lakhs, don't go for metro railway. Go for BRTS. And most of you must have visited Pune. You will find that BRTS routes are unutilized. The whole scheme got, you can say, bungled out in Pune. It got crashed out. Because BRT has got its own limits. Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission, JNMRM, they provided crores and crores of rupees to BRTs in Pune. Civil engineers have to think about all these factors because all the DPR, detailed project report, is authored by civil engineers. In preparing of DPRs, you have to take financial experts, help of financial experts, but the final signature is always of a civil engineer. So all these aspects are considered. And Modi changed it and he said, yes, we want to design metros for 20 lakh people. I was the first person in the panel discussions to say that we will have metro railway in Nashik city. Maharashtra Times, they carried a full page article of me on metro railway. It's a rare thing that they carry a full page article, and also on the page number 2. It's a rare case. And they carry my full page article. That is one of the major reasons why I have been nominated as the brand ambassador for Maharashtra Times for 2014-2015. Recently, they have launched a coffee table book at the hands of Chief Minister, and my Metro Railway article is there in it. So you have to be alert always. And Metro Railways are going to change the mode of transportation in our country. Then somebody mentioned about hospitals and schools. Yes, these are very important. You need to have enough spaces for hospitals, enough spaces for schools. Literacy rate of the country is not improving. This is not what I am saying. This is what the recorded statistics say. Because of lack of infrastructural facilities for schooling. Young children, 4 years, 5 years of age, they should feel attracted and welcomed in a proper hygienic atmosphere to go and attend the school. Our government has launched a scheme, Khichdi scheme. It has paid rich dividends. Many students get enrolled in it. If we provide better educational facilities, more and more students will join schools, and that is the reason why we need to have many schools. The planning standards which are already framed for providing different facilities in a city or a town, they were framed in 1979. The planning standard says that for a primary school, what you need to have is 4 square meters of a constructed area for educational facilities like schools, creches, washrooms. You need to have 4 square meters of area per student. And for the playgrounds, you need to have 6 more square meters of area for the playground. So it all comes to 10 square meters per pupil. If we go to high school, the ratio changes and it comes down to 7 square meters. Again, the planning standard says how you are going to calculate the number of students, how you are going to calculate the number of primary students and secondary students. They have given a ratio. Of all the population, they say that 15%, 15% is the primary school going population. So you have to calculate the total population of a particular place. Then 15% of it goes to primary school, multiplied by 10 square meters, and you will get the total square meter area required for the primary schools. That square meters area which is required, that you distribute in the different parts of the city, and you say that yes, I have got 10 sites for the primary school. Where the places have to be designated, these are called as reservations. This is one of the major point of dispute and argument in the development scheme, that is reservations. It is like everybody wants development, but nobody wants reservations. Everybody wants their land to be free of reservations. Yet they dream of having a good city, better infrastructure city. So while planning the location of primary schools, the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan and the National Act for Education, primary education, it says that the different distance between 2 schools should not be less than 1 kilometer, and it should be in such a way that the student will be required to travel not more than 1.5 kilometers to his school. So he should walk down. You will find that many times it happens in town planning, as in most of the cases in government policies, that if a government official is doing a plan of say Koparga, and he feels that this gentleman is my political foe. So what I do is I try to push as much as number of reservations in space. This is wrong from the basic town planning principles. I have come across many such instances wherein the distance between two primary schools is 250 meters or 300 meters. That is the size of your playground. So you have a school on one end of the playground, you have a school on the second end of the playground. Where are the schools going to come from? Recently, I am doing some consultancy for Masod municipality. It's in Maan Taluka of Sadar district. It is the most arid taluka of Maharashtra. Most arid taluka. The population of the whole taluka city is 20,000. Geographical area is 83 square kilometers. This is one of the largest municipalities, but the population is hardly 20,000, and they have provided 17 primary schools. 17, 1-7. When I was talking to the chief officer, I said, maybe the town planners must have thought that you are the most illiterate people in this world, and that's why they have provided so many schools. This is injustice. We have to think in those ways. Similarly, hospitals. You need to have government hospitals because providing health for the citizens is the responsibility of any nation. In our country, we have not excluded health from the basic responsibilities of government and put it into private sector. Though private hospitals are there. See, you can be a multi-billionaire, but any private hospital can refuse to admit you. But even if you are a pauper and you go to a government hospital, nobody will refuse you. Okay, their negligence will not fetch you good treatment, but they will not refuse any admission. And that is the reason why we need a lot of hospitals. These requirement of the hospitals is governed by one more factor, and that is actually treated as a different entity in the town planning, and that is maternity homes. I'm sorry to say that even now, in this 21st century, 40% of the births taken in India, they are in unhygienic condition, without any medical help. They are done by rice at some places and natural birth at some other places. It's intolerable. If we want to develop ourselves into a powerful nation, a developed nation, we should have the basic right of a child is his safe and hygienic birth. This is his basic right. This is not in India. For this, we need to have hospitals. Previously, till around 2010, there was a distinction between hospitals and the maternity homes. So we had to provide two different kind of reservations. Few were supposed to be for maternity homes, few were supposed to be for hospitals. After 2010, actually during the year 2010-11, major changes have been initiated in the Town Planning Act. They are going on changes, and now all the medical requirements have been clubbed together and put into medical health. These health facilities they have put into, they have categorized. Then somebody rightly said that water supply. Yes. The section 22D says that in Maharashtra, per day, per capita, 140 liters of potable water has to be supplied. And the town planning officer should ensure supply of water, and for that he has to design water supply schemes. Design means not going into the integrated detailed part, but design is he has to specify that water will be collected from this and this source, it will be transported from here, filtration plant will be here, distribution networks will be here. See, for the water source, if it is outside the city limits, he has to just mention it. If it is within the city limits, he has to provide for the enough space to provide all the infrastructure. Transportation route is not to be specified, it depends on the local city government. Distribution network, ESR, elevated storage reservoirs, that we have to provide the locations. Because based on those locations, the supply network will stand, and we have to provide a place for the water treatment plants. Because water coming from a source is not potable. Now it is not potable. We have to filter it. Filtration plants need spaces. Aerated lagoons is one of the basic concepts which is being used in water filtration plants. But nowadays, due to lack of place, we are going into automized filtration plants. So the space required is less. But still we need to plan for it. Somebody raised a point of drainage and waste treatment plant. Yes, that is also very, very important. See, out of all the water supply per capita, 80% is converted into wastewater. This wastewater needs to be treated because in India, the natural water which is available is major part is with rainfall only, and that is the percentage is very less. Water available is very less. I have written an editorial article around 2 years back on rainwater harvesting, and wherein I had written that water availability is decreasing day by day. We are seeing that monsoons have decreased. Yes, they have decreased because of over-exploitation of land mass available. Previously, land used to be fallow, and in fallow lands, they were all grasslands. So we had a vegetation cover. That vegetation cover attracted clouds, and we get rainfall. Nowadays, that vegetation cover has reduced. At the same time, temperature has increased. So evaporation of water has actually increased, but precipitation has decreased. You can call it as greenhouse effect, or you can call it as environmental impact. But that is one most important factor on which civil engineers will be put to task in next 10-15 years. Providing sufficient potable water to the citizens is very, very important. So, treatment of wastewater is very important. If proper treatment is done, technique is proper, then though it is not up to the potable limit, but it's near potable limit, and in future we'll have to design two different water schemes. One will be of potable water, and second will be water used for other purposes. Other purposes means washing your clothes, washing your cars, toilets and all. I have been to an exhibition recently, and there I found a stall by Toto company. It's a Japanese company into sanitary waste. The cost is exorbitant there, product cost is exorbitant. I was surprised to see a wash and basin. And I've been into consultancy since last 20 years. I've been designing structures with unlimited budgets, but I had never seen a wash basin of that cost. Total. The cost of a single wash and basin, if you go into market, it starts at around 450 bucks. And the best available in India is something around 25,000, 30,000. But this total wash basin was 17 lakhs. Single wash basin was 17 lakhs. If you put a 17 lakh wash basin and if you put a 17,000 wash basin, nobody will be able to make out the difference. But the difference was, it was coupled with a WC, water closet. And whatever the wastewater generated in the wash basin, that was transferred into the tank of the WC, and that water was used as a flushing water. And before that water was transferred from the wash and basin to the flush tank, the scum was removed. So therein the technology comes into picture. The scum of that water, when you wash your hands, you have soap, you have oils, that is called as scum, that was removed. Here, pure filtered water went into the flush tank. That flush tank operated on that water. That's why it costed 70 lakhs. It's a new technology. As the day passes and the technology is conversed with other manufacturers, the cost will come down. No? So we have to pay attention to water supply treatment plants also. Waste management. Somebody mentioned about waste management. Who was that gentleman? Yes, it is the most challenging job of today. Because of one simple factor is the you can say constraints put by the environmental ministry. Conventionally, waste management deals with accumulation